I know you're gonna dig this.
This is Rhine McLin, host of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles, recorded live here at DATV Studios in Dayton, Ohio. Now, our in-studio guest is Greg Jackson, keyboards, lead and background vocals, and original member of the funk group ZAPP. Welcome, and thank you for agreeing to come out and be on our show. Hi, Greg.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you. This is so exciting, and I just want to jump right on into this interview. First of all, let's tell us, I know you're originally from the Cincinnati area.
Yes.
And how did you get interested in music, and give us your beginning?
Well, my family loved music, played music all the time, and I grew up listening to everybody trying to sing and dance, and at the age of 11 or 12, I met a guitar player, and he talked my grandmother into letting me get in the group, and that was the first group that I recorded with, that played with. It's called the Soul Seekers. We later changed our name to 400 Years of What, and we played all over Cincinnati area. That's where I met Bootsy and Roger, and because they had their bands and came to Cincinnati and played, and it was fun times there in Cincinnati.
So you started out around 11 years old, and I would put you in elementary school.
Yeah,
so,
it was right out of elementary.
And then you went right into high school playing.
Yes.
Okay, and then during that time, you continued to play with the group, the Soul Seekers.
Yes, and we changed our name to 400 Years of What.
400 Years of What?
Yeah, and we was Cincinnati's Parliament, George Clinton, Funkadelic type group. You know, played funk music then, and yeah, that's how we got our start in Cincinnati, playing around the area as Parliament, Funkadelic, but we were 400 Years of What.
I have to ask, how did you all come up with the name 400 Years of What?
Yeah, Randy, a guy, Smokestack Lightning, the saxophone player, Randy Wallace, he came up with the name 400 Years of What? Based on being here for 400 years of what? So we put it in our music and we made it funky, so it was good.
That is so exciting. You've been in the business for quite a few years.
Yeah.
So I need to know, how did we, give us a progression to how we got to ZAPP.
Well, like I said, we, as 400 Years of What, we played around the area, and whenever the groups came in town, we would all hang out together. Musicians would hang out together. And one of the guys from Parliament Funkadelic, Grady Thomas, met me in Cincinnati and invited me to Atlanta, and I started playing with the Shady Bunch, which put me closer to the Parliament Funkadelic. And then Bootsy decided to produce Roger, him, George, and his brother, and Roger needed a keyboard player, and Bootsy and Catfish called me. So Roger said he needed somebody that can play keys and deal with the front line, and that was me. So.
And that's how you became known as ZAPP?
We were Roger and the Human Body at the time now.
Roger and Human Body. So you joined them when they were Roger and the Human Body.
Yeah, I played with them 3 or 4 years as Roger and the Human Body.
Now, who was in the band then when you played with Roger and the Human Body?
Lester, Terry, Larry, Roger, Bobby Glover, and myself.
Okay. So, and that Roger and the Human Body lasted how long?
Ooh, I know I was with them for about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And we worked for the government. We played all of the military bases everywhere. I mean, where there was a military base, Roger and the Human Body went and played. So we had to work on our album, the first album, in between traveling and working for the government. But it all came off around 1980.
Now, who was the record label at that time for you?
Warner Brothers. Well, before we started recording, we just was a local band. There was no label. But the first record was Warner Brothers.
Under Roger and the Human Body.
Roger and Human Body didn't have no record label. They did it on their own for the first album, yeah. At a studio called Shadow Shade. It was Shadow Shade's recording studio right off of 75. Between Hamilton and Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me how we grow from Roger and the Human Body to get to ZAPP.
Riding in cars back and forth from the shows to the studio. Long days, long hours. Making it happen. Recording as a band. Calling Jeanette and him in for background vocals. I mean, that was a lot of good work. A lot of good work. And that first album paid off. That's when we changed our name from Roger and the Human Body to ZAPP.
To ZAPP.
Yeah.
Now, and why were you called ZAPP?
Well, the only thing I can come up for real is Gap was #1. So Gap, ZAPP, you know how
I got it.
you know, it wasn't a name, they didn't make that up.
So there was ZAPP, there was Gap, and so therefore you all chose ZAPP.
Yeah.
All right, that you know, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And you know, during that time, you went from, you were also known as the ZAPP Band, you were also known ZAPP and Roger.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So, I mean, so you all were synonymous. So how long did you all operate as a band as ZAPP and Roger?
Ooh, for years, from 80 to 86, actually. Once the album came out, that's when we started recouping all the other members, the horn players and Janetta and the singers, you know what I'm saying? We started growing to go out there to sound like the record. So from 1980 all the way up, from more bounce up. So it started there.
So the original lineup, let's just say with the ZAPP Band, the original lineup was whom?
Lester, Terry, Bobby Glover, Sherman Fleetwood, Janetta Boyce, Eddie Barber, Michael Warren, Jerome Derrickson. I hope I'm not forgetting them. Myself. Yeah.
So that was a heck of a group.
Oh yeah, and not a small group. Horns was very popular, so we had 3 or 4 horns in the group. So yeah, it grew from 6 members to not 10, easy.
And so what happened was that the only member from Dayton was really Janetta, at that time was Janetta Boyce.
Absolutely.
And everybody else was from either Cincinnati or Hamilton.
Yes.
All right.
Well, Bobby Glover, he was from Springfield.
Oh, Springfield, Ohio, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So here you all are. About what age are you at this time?
Ooh, about 22, 23, somewhere around there.
Traveling the world, playing music.
Woo!
And
Loving it.
and you know, having a great time.
Dream come true.
Doing songs like So Rough, So Tough.
Oh my goodness.
More Bounce to the Ounce.
I Can Make You Dance.
Computer Love.
Oh yeah.
Dance Floor, and of course, Do Why Diddy. yes, the Do Why Diddy. You know, all of those songs are contributed to the ZAPP band and the exciting era that you did, and then you all brought something different to the funk. And what was that?
Yeah, well, what we did was we started bringing in some of the members from groups that we had worked with, like Parliament Funkadelic. We brought in Ray Davis. He was the bass singer for Parliament Funkadelic. Tear the roof off the mother, tear the roof off the mother, sucker, tear the one with the bass voice. There's also him on Zapp's I Can Make You Dance If You Want. You know what I'm saying? On Do Why Diddy. Doom, 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 doom. Ray Davis. So we started incorporating these other people. Billy Beck from the Ohio Players came in and just did a phenomenal job with the group, you know.
Well, when did you get the voice box?
Well, the voice box has always been there with Roger.
That's what I was heading for.
Yeah, it has always.
Because that is unique to ZAPP.
Yeah, and a lot of people think he was the first one that done it because that was the first time they had heard it, but it wasn't. He just had enough heart to make a whole song with it. You know what I'm saying? Peter Frampton and other few people have done songs and used it. Stevie Wonder did it in portions of their songs, but Roger made a whole song with it, so it caught on for us and it was good.
Yeah, that was such an interesting and intricate part of ZAPP.
Oh yeah.
And you were known for that.
Yes. And it's an honor to see the people that's using it now for themselves. There are a lot of great talkbox players out there that was inspired by the work that we done, and it's a blessing, it's an honor. We thank y'all.
Well, you know, you had the G-funk sound, you had hip hop, you developed, ZAPP developed a special genre of music within the funk. The funk genre.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, which really, I don't know today has been truly duplicated other than within yourselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's not been duplicated, but it's being used and appreciated because, like I said, there are a lot of good talkbox players out there. As a matter of fact, there's one that I used on my CD, from Japan. Her name was Woody Funk. And to meet somebody all the way in Japan that we aspired that much to play talkbox like that, I opened my arms to her because, you know, and it was beautiful, yeah.
Now, during the time with ZAPP, can you, I know you had lots of experiences, but can you name at least 3 highlights of the tours or the experiences, and 3 things that were really truly learning experience as your music career grew?
Yes, ma'am.
I know there's lots of them, don't get me wrong. I know there's lots of them.
Yeah, but
so I'm just asking you to narrow it down.
Yeah, there are those few though. Listen, when we came out the gate, after More Bounce came out, we toured with Lionel Richie and the Commodores for 6 months at the height of the Commodores. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to get a standing ovation after our performance, we felt the gratitude and we really felt like we were doing something until we met the Commodore. Until we met Cameo. See, we used to call the tour with the Commodores the suburb tour. Cameo, that was the hood tour, and they showed us how to do it. From the name, from the mention of the name, it wasn't no standing ovation at the end of the show. From the mention of the name, the crowd rushed to the front. And I said, that's what we want right there. We want that. We appreciate the standing ovation, But that's what we want right there. Cameo showed us how to do it. Very, very, very educational to us. Prince, we toured with Prince for 6 months. Prince and the Time. That was an experience.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, I mean, to finally be around these people that you love from afar, and then here you are sharing stage with them, it's an indescribable feeling, you know? Yeah. But those were the groups that really inspired us. The Commodores brought the class to ZAPP that the funk wasn't seeing. You know what I'm saying? When ZAPP came out, although we was a funk band, we had learned that class from that Motown group, Lionel Richie and the Commodores. You know? And that's what stood us, that's another thing that stood us apart from the other funk groups. You know, what we brought, the suit and ties, they used to call us suits. We were suit and ties and things of that nature when ripped jeans and, you know, was the fad. So it helped with what we was doing.
So the way we can sum this up is that the Commodores brought you class.
Yeah.
Cameo taught you
how to do it, how to dance, move around, don't stand still, sing, step, kick high. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that harmony is tight. You know what I'm saying? Me, Bobby, and Janetta had to hit them words precise. And you know what I'm saying? It was just, oh man, something to learn. We thought we had it all down until they showed us how to do it.
And then Prince and the Time.
Yeah. And Prince and Time, and I mean, that was the tour. Prince, Roger ZAPP, and Time. And that's how the lineup was. Time opened up, we came on in the middle, and Prince headlined. And I mean, that was really something because he introduced us to a whole nother audience than the ones that we had. You know what I'm saying? Commodores had that audience because they had the whole families there. You would see grandparents, their kids, and then their kids at a Commodore show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, to have that experience and put it into what we're doing.
I mean, it just sounds exciting, even to hear you, and it seems like it's still very prevalent in your mind about what an educational experience that was in your career. Yeah. So, as we're talking about this, can you name 3 learning experiences that you have had from your exposure with these different groups to get you where you are today?
Yeah, well, one is time. Time is so important. When you're out there, we used to want to play all the songs that we had and that we liked, but when you're working with other groups, whenever you go over time, you're taking time from someone else, and that's so unfair. And it was a hard lesson for us to learn, but we learned it well.
That was okay. That's one lesson, and so that, you know, and from that lesson, you listening to you tell us this is that you can recall going to concerts and knowing whatever act, they're in that time frame and they moving on because they're showing respect to the next group.
That's right.
What's the second?
Well, you know, the second is staying diligent to your craft. You know what I'm saying? You can't take for granted just because you have one hit record or whatever. You have to stay true to the craft and stay up on what's being played and what's being done and what other groups are doing, because you can learn from anybody. I've never met a human being I couldn't learn something from. And in the music industry, everybody's good. Everybody. So be true to yourself and be good, be as good, if not better.
And what's the third?
Well, I guess the third is handle your business.
And let's talk about the business part.
Yeah.
Because that is so important that so many of our artists of the past have had to learn the hard way. Mm-hmm. So, what is your advice, and what are some lessons that you learned about the business?
Well, first of all, understand what it is that you're going to get from your contribution. And if it's acceptable, then deal with it like that. But make sure that you take care of the things that you need to take care of for yourself. Because all young entertainers, I don't care, you're going to get to an age where if you don't have that to fall back on, you need to have something that you can fall back on. And really the only way to get it is to have had a job that you are paying taxes for. So don't let the love of music and the little bit of money that come with it stop you from taking care of what you need to take care of, because it will get with you.
And that's a good point, because money at that time, generally when you're young, 22, 23, is flowing in there. You're singing for the love of it, and you're not really paying a lot of attention to paying Social Security, Medicare, and pensions, and what the future holds. And then all of a sudden, one day you wake up and you say, what am I going to be doing here? And that's, that's for any special craft that people have, that, you got to look out for the future, and you really got to be a part of looking out for the future and not depend on everybody else to look out for your future.
And it's not a popular conversation in the music business, because people already don't take it as a real job until you turn it into something. So while you turn it into something, make sure that you stay on top of what you're doing.
Now let's talk about how many surviving members are there left from the original ZAPP band?
All is well. The only ones that are not in the original is Larry and Roger. But Sherman, Bobby, Janetta, Eddie, Jerome, everybody's still living and doing what they can in music as well.
Now, at the end of ZAPP, what would you consider the end of ZAPP, as we once knew it with Roger and ZAPP?
Well, first of all, we all worked together on those projects regardless to what name was on it. And Roger actually only had, 2, maybe 3 gold albums as Roger. ZAPP is the ones that had the gold albums, the records, the hit records. So, I don't think there'll ever be an end of ZAPP. Because
let's talk about that, because you have the rights to the name ZAPP.
Yes.
How did you get that?
I paid for it. I purchased it, and it had been available. It had been available for 7 years before I did.
So how did you go about that? I mean, where do you purchase it from? How do you go about something like that?
Well, it's the trademark, patent and trademark company. Same way you patent something, you trademark it or whatever. Whether it's the name of your group, or whether it's the name of your company, or whether it's the name of what you're doing, period. And in my doing it, I'm just making sure that I will be able to do what I've been doing all these years without somebody saying, get out.
Now, how did it stay vacant for 7 years? Nobody wanted it, or somebody ignored it, or?
I really have no idea, but I do know this much. Larry and Roger were still living. That much I know. When you
bought ZAPP?
When it was dominant, when it was down, when they had let the name go, when it had expired. You know what I'm saying? They were still living, so,
And you picked it up?
Yes, I did.
And today.
And worked with the group 12 more years after I did. But that was for my security, because I know how I go. The inevitable. Get out. Okay. Gladly.
So after you purchased the copyrights to the name
The
ZAPP,
trademark.
you still played with the band?
For 12 more years.
So
Surely
what year
did.
did you purchase ZAPP?
Well, I filed in 2009, I want to say. Yeah, I got back with the group in 1999. We started really working back in 2000, but in 2009, I had already understood what I had to do. Because getting rid of me wasn't no all of a sudden kind of thing. It had been planned and plotted a long time before it happened, so can't nobody say it was no one thing that took place. It was several. But the main thing is I got to work. I got to do what I got to do.
So does that mean, Greg, that even all the royalties that come off of any ZAPP music is still, you benefit?
I benefit, but I don't benefit from the like the contribution that was put into it. You understand? And while you're doing something that somebody else is in control of, and they pinch you off what you pinch off, what they give you, it's unfair, but the love of it keep you there.
I understand. So
my loyalty and dedication kept me in a situation common sense should have got me out of a long time ago.
So now, tell me about what ZAPP does now.
ZAPP Anthology, which is all of the original members, we still work. We still, promoters calling, I mean, it's pandemic time now, but promoters are still calling and interested in the show that we provide for them. So I feel good about that.
Tell me, when we think about funk music and especially the ZAPP Anthology, that what would you like to see as your legacy?
Me, what I would like to see as my legacy is where my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids don't have to gather things up about what I done. It's going to be right in front, at a button away. That's Pawpaw.
So for the ZAPP Anthology.
Anthology.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Your
legacy is a push button away. That's what you want.
Well, you know, yeah, for everything that's being done, and that has been done, because until Google, it wasn't being told.
And I think that brings me back to saying, why do you think that having the Funk Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center is so important?
Oh, it means the world to the contribution that we put into this. It means the world to the contribution and the hard work and the hard times and everything that we put into it, to see that we have somebody that care enough about it to help us keep it alive. That's strong. We have to go on tour to promote, but to have an exhibition center where you can come and see the Ohio players and the Zapps and the Slaves and the Fazos and way too many to mention right now, all in one place. It's beautiful and well-deserving for our people.
You know, one of the things that's just recently occurred is that there had been like a park and a art sculpture that had been placed on the corner of Catalpa and Salem Avenue, where the Trotman studios were. And just recently, some young people from Bowling Green State University had applied to do a historical marker. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think it's wonderful. I think it's well-deserving. And again, I'm very appreciative to whoever it was that made that happen. Because had not been for that, you would drive right past that corner without knowing that anything was ever there.
And so much was.
You know?
And so much was there.
I mean, I said, if it wasn't for that plaque.
Yes, and I'm saying that without that plaque.
Okay, you would drive past that corner and never knew that it was a sound lab right there and the whole everything. You would never even know. It's all torn
it was
down.
a lay of breath too when you go in there. But you know, and we have to give Larry and Roger. They were quite visionaries on what they originally wanted to do with music for this area.
They did a lot. They accomplished a lot. Roger was extremely talented, but make no mistake about it, without Larry, Roger would have just been just another talented musician.
Yes, you know, sometimes in this business, and not only in this business, but just in life in general, we have to give credit to the people who are the wind beneath the wings. And a lot of them are unsung sheroes and heroes, but they are the wind beneath the wings to make the accomplishment. Out of all the songs that you've done, what are your three favorites?
Spend my whole life. Dance and get your funky on. And we need the buck.
We need the buck.
We need the buck.
That's one of your favorites.
Hey, listen, on the ZAPP album, I might not be smart enough to solve the problems of the world. We cool, but we need the money. Got to have the buck. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in today's day, that song is still the words are very popular, very meaningful, very meaningful.
You know?
And you're gonna have me going out here singing that song again, because it's come full circle with that song. And that's not. To hear an artist's favorite songs, because you always got to do what the audience want to hear, because they are the ones who made you who you are.
Yeah.
But to hear you say your three songs of popularity, that is so exciting. So what's next for ZAPP? Well, what's your next project?
Well, right now, the pandemic.
After the pandemic, we're going to try to fast forward.
After the pandemic, well, during the pandemic, I'm staying paying attention to my radio station. Go check out Greg Jackson on Pandora. Working with Janetta. Janetta just put out her single. Happy about that. We got Bobby Glover doing his. Eddie Barber just done his CD. So we're working. And we're, keeping the show together, so we'll be ready to give the promoters their money's worth, and the fans, we're gonna show you the appreciation, and because we love you. Thank you, yes, for supporting us.
You know what's so interesting, Greg, is you've been around long enough to have seen how the music industry has just changed. So, you can drop a CD now, you can drop your music right on on an iPod or something. I mean, it was just, whereas back in the day, you had somebody going around to different radio stations saying, would you please play this? Would you please play this for us? And, trying to get on lack of better terms, the Chitlin Circus, so you could promote the music, so somebody would go buy the music. So, and now today, just from your own studio at home, a lot of you artists now just have your own studios at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to really go nowhere. You got everything that you need, and you just drop it.
Hey, I love it.
And so it's changed the industry on how music is done.
Yeah.
What do you see with the new music today, the music from the old days? I know that you don't carry pianos and organs around like you used to.
Well,
but
see, yeah, digital has made it, took a lot of the worry out of it. You know, when they say a record deal is really a record deal where the company gives you money to go and record. With the new digital equipment, you don't need a record deal. You can record at home and get a distribution deal, you know? So things has changed.
So what do you see as the improvement, or what is it that you see that you dislike the most about the new way we do business?
Well, it's giving a lot of people the opportunity to express themselves by themselves. Although working with other musicians and collaborating is key to get what's on your mind off. Technology has allowed us to do it by themselves. I work in television. Have worked in television many years, but to sit in front of this camera with no camera operator, technology.
Do you think we have as much talent as we used to have, or is the talent that we have today more personified because of the digitalness that we are exposed to?
I think we have as much talent. I think we have as much talent. But times change. Equipment changed, the technology of it changed, and what people want to hear changed. So, you know, I still listen to a lot of the old music, but I also know what's new. So.
And a lot of the old is new.
Yeah.
And the new has a lot of the old flavor.
That's right. That's right.
So, you know, music, especially like when you talk about the funk era, that music is still so prominent in so many ways I don't think it'll ever go away. But having the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center is a way to truly create the longevity of an era that had meant so much to so many people.
So many people, that's right.
Yes. And music is the eye to the soul.
Yes, it is.
And one of the things that crosses all racial lines, no matter age lines, is music.
It's music.
And how it makes you feel.
That's true. That's right.
So I want to thank you so much, Greg, for being with us today on Funk Chronicles and telling your story and letting us know about how ZAPP Anthology came about and what you all are still doing. And giving your words of wisdom and that we really do appreciate, and your support of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center. So thank you, and wish you blessings on all the work that you do in advance. I'm looking forward to attending one of those concerts because, you know, it's nothing like a live concert.
I know that's right. I know that's right. But listen, before you cut me off, let me say this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You hear me? For all you do for our community. I mean, come on. We love you. And thank you for having me here. And I even, listen, to be interviewed by you, oh, that's just an extra blessing for me. David Webb, we love you, bruh. You hear me? You got some of my stuff I done donated to the Funk Center, you know? So thank y'all so much. We love y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Rhine McLin, host of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles. Until the next time, let's keep it funky, funky, funky.
Yeah.